everybody, and appreciate your attendance. And seems like we were just here a week ago. So, but anyway, welcome back, and I appreciate your attendance once again. So, if you would please rise for the invocation, remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, we want to once again say thank you for everything you do in our lives, for your leadership, your guidance, and your involvement on a daily basis. We come to you tonight asking that you place your healing hands on those that are in need in our community, also those that have recently lost loved ones. We also ask that you be with our troops, that provide the freedoms, help ensure the freedoms that we enjoy here and tonight, and the opportunity to meet in a free and open society. Please guide us in the direction you would have us go in the business of the city. With that, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody's been presented with a copy of tonight's proposed agenda. There is one thing I would like to add to that agenda, and that's there was an executive session meeting on June the 12th as well, so I would like to provide the opportunity to amend or approve the minutes of the executive session meeting. And with that, if there are no other additions or corrections, to have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? And with that, there's an opportunity to approve or amend the minutes of the regular council meeting on June the 12th. If there are no additions or corrections, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Also, the executive session minutes also on June the 12th. If there are no additions or corrections to those minutes, do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? This time we'll have the public, I'd like to remind everybody the next council meeting will be held just about a month from today. It'll be on July the 17th. And that's because of moving this one up a week, and also 3 council members will be gone when the next scheduled meeting is on the 10th. So next council meeting, July the 17th, 2017. This time we'll have the public hearings. The public will have the opportunity to make pro and con comments with a 10-minute maximum for each side of the matter. And with each person speaking, giving their name and address. At this time, I'd ask if anybody on the council has had need of a financial disclosure statement.
No, sir.
First item is a continuance of a March 13th tabled public hearing on a zoning change request for an existing zoning of Industrial G. The request was to be rezoned to a tower site, TS. And this would be for .2296 acres at a location of the parcels number C10-041. Location of this is on C.L. Moss Parkway. Request is for Skyway Towers. The zoning change request is for a proposed new 190-foot cell tower, and the request is in order to help improve coverage and capacity issues. Zoning Advisory Board met on this item on March the 9th, and they did not reach a decision, and no vote was taken at that time. At this time, I'll open the public hearing and ask if there's a motion to remove from table.
So moved.
Second.
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to recuse myself from the discussion because I am a Verizon customer.
All right, thank you very much for that. At this time, we'll continue the public hearing, and we'll begin with the applicant or their representative if they would like to.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Andy Rotenstrike, here on behalf of Skyway Towers. As you mentioned in your opening comments, we were here back on March 13 for this public hearing that was tabled. At the time of that public hearing, the council indicated that it wanted to do its own independent study to look at the maps that Verizon Wireless had provided in support of the application of Skyway Towers. Also, Mr. Hammond, I think you wanted us to talk to the landowner about its towing operations at the site. We have done that, have talked to the landowner, Patrick Parrish. He does store vehicles there temporarily. He says that the vehicles are brought in when there's a need or a wrecker service need, if it's not able to be towed to a body shop or some other repair place. So he does store vehicles there temporarily. He says after a certain period of time, he does dispose of the vehicles if the owners don't claim them. So it's no permanent storage of vehicles there. It is conceivable, according to Mr. Parrish, that he could have no autos or vehicles on the premises at any some time, and there are times when he could have several. It just depends on the business and how it's going. So we do not believe that this falls under the provision in the ordinance regarding the hazardous substances. We have a Phase 1 report that was done on this site that indicates there's no storage of hazardous materials on the property. Again, it's for temporary storage of automobiles. They may or may not have fuel or other additives in them at the time. And we also think that if that was a reason for the denial, that would in essence be a prohibition against having cell towers in the entire city of Calhoun, because there is no prohibition in the ordinance to prohibit a car from being parked on any property overnight. And if you take that into consideration, then we couldn't put a cell tower on any piece of property because there'd be a vehicle there if somebody wanted to leave one. So for those reasons, we think that this piece of property did not qualify under that provision or its intent. The intent, as we believe, and we've seen this in other ordinances around the southeast, is to not place a cell tower on property where maybe there's gasoline stations or other storage of hazardous substances in underground tanks or above ground tanks. With regard to the independent study, I had been talking to the city attorney off and on since March 13th, and last Monday, I was asked by the city attorney to provide some antenna specifications, because the city had wanted to send that information to an independent group in Colorado to assess what Verizon's maps and information were showing. We were scheduled on the agenda last week, so I was surprised when we got the request, but I was at the work session, I think, where I saw you folks there. That day, as I promised, I called my client, who again is Skyway Towers, not Verizon Wireless. And the information that was requested is Verizon Wireless information, not something that Skyway's really entitled to have or knows about until maybe construction time. So I did ask my client, Skyway, to reach out to Verizon to see if they could get that information. The city attorney was under somewhat of a timetable because he had told me that his engineers needed that information that day or the next day because of this impending meeting tonight. So I did reach out to my client. It does not control the antennas that Verizon uses. It did not know at the time which antennas Verizon was going to be using. And I requested that Skyway attempt to get that information from Verizon Wireless. That was Monday evening. I talked to my client Tuesday morning. Wednesday, I learned from my client that they were not able to get that information. I immediately called the city attorney to let him know, and I left him a message on his office phone and his cell phone. He called me back, he emailed me saying he had a big hearing the next day. So eventually we spoke by email on Thursday, where I passed along the information to him. And then there was an email, I think today, to you guys, or to me, copying you guys, that they were not able to get the information and therefore not able to do the study. Getting back to the presentation we did back on March 13th, I passed out several documents showing the need for the site by Verizon Wireless, the need for that particular location, how we looked at all the other properties within that search area and had to rule out all of them except this particular property, how we met all the provisions of the ordinance, and how we're keeping the tower under 200 feet on purpose so that we don't have to light it, so it won't be seen at night, and that this use doesn't produce any light, no noise, no dust, no odor, and no traffic. So with that, having met the ordinance, we think we're entitled to the rezoning. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer.
Okay. Anybody? No. I don't think so at this time, but thank you for that presentation. At this time, I'd ask for a report from the city administrator concerning the efforts by the city's part and the independent engineering study on the application.
To do due diligence, the city retained a communications company out of Colorado known as KNS to confirm the Verizon engineering study as pertains to coverage and necessary height of the tower. Working with the information KNS was given, our engineers said that they did not feel confident in their working model. And without this confirmation study on Calhoun's end, we could not say for sure that the height and coverage request is verified or not. And with that, I will present for better known Exhibit A, which is a timeline, facts, and communications. January 23rd, 2017, Skyway Towers LLC filed an application for a zoning change request for the existing zoning of industrial G to be rezoned to a tower site for .2296 acres at a location off of C.L. Moss Parkway. The zoning change request is for a proposed new 190-foot cell tower in order to help improve coverage and capacity issues. On March the 9th, 2017, the meeting of the Zoning Advisory Board, recommendation of the ZAB fails for want of a motion. March the 13th, 2017, meeting of the Mayor and Council. As we've heard, the matter was tabled after discussion of the 150-day shot clock. March the 16th, 2017, email communications by City Attorney with Greg Fender, a local government services through the Georgia Municipal Association, and Bob Dutchin, Special Legal Counsel, Vice President of River Oaks Communication Corporation, seeking expert legal counsel about co-location sites and requested locations, seeking legal counsel on the necessity of a 190-foot versus a lower height tower. April the 15th, 2017, email communications by the City Attorney with Gerald Linder, Special Legal Counsel, B&K Attorney, seeking expert legal counsel for the independent engineering study to test co-location sites versus requested location and alternate heights of tower and other than 190 feet. April the 19th, email communication by City Attorney with Gerald Linder, Special Legal Counsel, BB&K, advised that the city was meeting with Gunderson Consulting Communication Services, GCCSS, for study. On May the 1st, 2017, a phone teleconference by the city with Brett Rial with GCCSS advised that the city needed independent engineering survey, and that's what they could provide. On May the 1st, an email communication with the city attorney, Greg Fender, the local GMA representative, advised that contract provided by GCCSS was not for services sought by the city in this particular survey. On May the 19th, 2017, email communications and calls by city attorney with Greg Fender and Bob Durchin, contact with provider that can perform independent engineering services or survey. May the 22nd, 2017, email communications and calls by city attorney with Greg Fender, Bob Durchin, contacted Jacob Carpenter with KNS Communications to begin the survey. On June the 12th, 2017, email communications and meeting by city attorney with applicants' legal counsel, Verizon technical specifications required by KNS to perform independent survey. Provided spreadsheet example of needed information by both email and hand delivery. June the 16th, email communications by the city attorney with applicants' legal counsel and Jacob Carpenter with KNS, advised that still waiting on Verizon technical information to complete an independent survey. Advised by legal counsel for the applicant of the following: my client, EcoSite, is not able to make those specs available as it is Verizon wireless information. The EcoSite feels it is not at liberty to pass along. If that information is contained in the documents that Verizon Wireless supplied to EcoSite for the application, then the city would already have it. If the application materials have been forwarded to your consultant, then she should have it. My apologies on the confusion, as I did not anticipate this difficulty in obtaining the information when I agreed to get this particular information for you. On June the 16th, 2017, email communications by city attorney with Jacob Carpenter, KNS Communication, advised Verizon technical information to not forthcoming, advised by consultant that survey was not available. Unfortunately, my engineering team does not feel confident providing engineering reports with information that is not guaranteed accurate. This would require us to run engineering hours of reports initially, which would not be reliable engineering study to use either supporting or refuting the proposed site by the tower company and Verizon. My engineering department does not feel that a completed report can be provided in the timeline specified. I apologize for the confusion and can put this project on hold if you are able to wait for the corrected information provided by Verizon. And that completes Exhibit A.
Any other questions or comments? I think that was the time frame you spoke of, and that's just kind of outlining the events as they took place and as recorded. So, if no other questions or comments, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion concerning the requests and for approval or denial.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to deny based on Section 10-A.6, shared use. New tower sites may not be permitted if there's an existing technically and commercially reasonable space available for shared use on pre-existing towers and antennas or existing conforming towers and antennas. One, the application for a permit to develop a tower shall demonstrate that no existing tower or alternative tower structure can accommodate the proposed antenna. And then item A and item B, certificate that no existing tower or alternative tower structure are located within the geographic areas necessary to meet the applicant's engineering requirements, and certification that existing tower or alternate tower structures have insufficient height and cannot be modified to accommodate the applicant's engineering requirements. So based on Section 10-A.6, I make a motion to deny.
Second.
Motion is second.
Mayor, I have something I'd like to also read into this. The city's denial of any rezoning or variance has to be made in writing and supported by substantial evidence. A, that substantial evidence is more than a mere scintilla, and it means such relevant evidence as a reasonable mind might accept as adequate to support a conclusion. That's part of our variance procedures.
Thank you very much for that. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Jackie Recluse. Accuse herself. Thank you very much. Sorry you had to make so many trips to Calhoun, but thank you. Under old business, we have the adoption of the City of Calhoun and the Calhoun City Schools Annual Operating Budget and Capital Plan for fiscal year July 1, 17 through June 30 of 18. First is have Exhibit A, which is General Government Annual Operating Budget. Exhibit B, Utilities Annual Operating Budget. Exhibit C, City of Calhoun Board of Education Annual Operating Budget. And each one made a presentation at the last council meeting. And with that, we have a budget ordinance as well. If I can get to it. And Mr. Peterson, I would ask if you have anything to add to that after the last meeting.
Mayor, this wonderful process started in February, and hopefully we can adopt it tonight. Everyone's worked very hard on this, the city and the city school system, and we have what we feel like are good, solid budgets from everyone concerned.
Thank you. I know we have the school board staff and all with us tonight, so I would ask if you have any questions or comments you'd like to make.
Now, our board met this morning at 7:30 for our second public hearing, and we heard no concerns, like they were with the FY18 presentation.
Thank you very much. This time I read the ordinance. Whereas the city administrator and the city school board have presented a proposed budget to the mayor and council on each of the various funds of the city, and whereas the mayor and council have reviewed and amended the proposed budgets, and whereas the budgets are balanced and summaries are attached as exhibits A, B, and C, hereto and made a part of said ordinance. Now therefore be it ordained, the mayor and council of the city of Calhoun hereby adopt said budget for fiscal year July 1, 2017 through June 30, 2018. Be it further ordained, the expenditures shall not exceed the appropriations authorized by this budget or amendments thereto according to the budget policy. However, expenditures for the fiscal year shall not exceed actual funding available. And with the reading of that and the exhibits that have been presented, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Give it a,
Together.
Have two motions and 2 seconds. And so, any discussion?
Let me just add what I said last week. I really appreciate every department head and the key managers for working really hard on this year. You did a great job, and I know you had the same results in the school system. It's a good budget, and I think everybody will be able to move forward very positively. Thank you guys for doing that, ladies.
And we all echo those same thoughts and appreciate all the hard work with that. This time, I have a motion and a second. If there's no more discussion, do I have a motion? To approve, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Have a second reading of an annexation and zoning request of C2. This would be for 1.49 acres. Property is located at 290 Thames Road, and the request is by Brian Young. Zoning Advisory Board meeting is scheduled for July the 13th, with a public hearing scheduled for July the 17th. Also have the second reading of an annexation and zoning request of R1B. This would be for .46 acres at a location of 193 Green Meadow Lane, Northeast. Request is by Charles Buchanan. Zoning Advisory Board meeting is scheduled for July the 13th, public hearing on July the 17th. Also have the second reading of an annexation and zoning request of C2. This would be for 18.92 acres. Property is located at GC 56-229 at Irwin Street and South Wall Street. And the request is by Butler Properties and Development. Once again, the Zoning Advisory Board is scheduled for July the 13th. Public hearing is scheduled for July the 17th. Also have the second reading of an annexation and zoning request of C2. This is for .46 acres. This is located at GC 42-156. This is also at the corner of Irwin Street and South Wall Street. The request is by Lidl U.S. Operations. Zoning Advisory Board on July the 13th, public hearing on July the 17th. Second reading of a zoning change request from R2 to C2. This is for 1.815 acres. This is located at C11-071 and C11-076. This is by the Bagwell Family LLC. Zoning Advisory Board is scheduled on July the 13th, and public hearing is scheduled for July the 17th. Also have a second reading of an ordinance to amend, strike, or change certain portions of the City of Calhoun Code of Ethics, Part 2, Chapter 2, Article 7. This is eligible for a hearing on July the 17th.
Mr. Mayor, I made a motion last week to table this for further council discussion, and in the 5-hour meeting we had, we got kind of lost, but I'll make that motion again to table it.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Have a second reading of a beer and wine package license request. This is by Nabil Phil. This is doing business as 188 Highway 53 LLC. This is located at 943 Highway 53 Southeast. The proposed store manager will be named prior to the public hearing, which is scheduled for July the 17th. Also, everybody's been presented a copy of the amendments to the general government fee schedule resolution. The changes include increases to building permit fees, grading fees, soil and erosion, or soil and sedimentation fees, HVAC permit fees, residential plumbing fees, fire inspection fees, electrical inspection fees, cemetery fees, and the addition of animal spay neuter certificate fee. Having the opportunity to have reviewed these in the past, I might make notion that these fees have not been increased. I believe this was last time was in '06. And so after council review, then do I have a motion to
So moved.
approve the increases?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Under new business, we have the first reading of an ordinance to amend, strike, or change certain articles, divisions and sections of Chapter 14, animals, to provide the public with confidence in their individual safety, as well as human and ethical treatment of certain classifications of animals either owned or possessed by municipal residents or otherwise found or located within city streets.
Mr. Mayor, let me make a comment there. We've got a 5013C that has been established for the support of the animal shelter. It operates under the name of Pals for Paws. They've been able to assist with adoption fees, spaying, neutering fees, for the last couple of years, and Jackie's report the last few months have shown that we've had no euthanization, so that's very successful. I've asked Eddie Peterson if he would to get that out to that group, since they are a concerned citizens board, and get some input before we have our next reading.
And I asked Paul to do that, so.
There we go. Paul, who's going to do it?
Yes, Sharon.
Sharon, when are you going to get
Sharon,
that
take
done?
care of that, would you?
That's very good, too, but I know it's been recommended by Clyde and so forth, so it's certainly something to consider, but certainly community input, I think that addresses some of their concerns.
Well, I think Clyde works really, really close with that
Yeah.
group, so I think they have mutual respect.
And that serves as the first reading. We also have the first reading of a special event permit. This permit request is by United Way of Gordon County and the Young Leaders Society. This is in association with Downtown Development Authority and the Wall Street Grill. The event, titled Food Trucks and Friends, will be held in the depot parking lot. This is scheduled for Friday, August the 18th, and it would be from 5:30 to 8 o'clock. Once again, this is the first reading. Along with that, we have the first reading of a temporary outdoor alcohol special event permit. This permit request is also by the United Way of Gordon County, Young Leaders Society, in association with the DDA and Wall Street Grill. The permit is in addition to the special event permit. This is to allow the provision of alcohol by Wall Street Grill, currently holding a valid Class B beer and wine license for on-premise consumption. Wall Street Grill has applied for their alcohol special event permit with the Georgia Department of Revenue and expects to receive approval within the near future. Once again, that is the first reading. I know we've got Vicki with us here. Would you, any comments you'd like to make concerning the events?
Ashley Goble is
Yeah,
actually
Ashley.
the person that works for United Way and has done most of the groundwork for this. What we hope is just to have an outdoor event that is family friendly, that will have food trucks and alcohol, and it will last us, an hour, about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and will just bring people downtown. I think there's going to be a band, and Ashley may be able to tell you a little bit more. The main thing is we want to try to do an event that follows the ordinance and is successful for that.
Let me ask one question, ladies. Do you have an alternate date in case of rain, and will that impact the special events permit, or do you know?
At this time, we do not have an alternate date. We have not done anything as far as scheduling food trucks or things like that. We were just waiting on the city council's approval or denial before we moved any further.
Since that special permit is coming from the state, I would check to see if there's flexibility. I don't, does anybody else know whether?
I don't.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ashley, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that? And thank you for those comments. Also have the opportunity to approve or deny an intergovernmental agreement between Gordon County and the City of Calhoun relating to the services of the Gordon County Board of Elections and voter registration. And there was a copy in your packet concerning the agreement. So after reviewing that, having the opportunity to review that, do I have a motion to approve or deny the agreement?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Also, in your package, you had a request for the reappointment of Chip Sloan. This would be to the Calhoun-Gordon County Airport Authority. Mr. Sloan's term expires on June the 30th, and the appointment is for another 3-year terms beginning on July the 1st. Hearing the request, do I have a motion to reappoint Mr. Sloan?
Motion to reappoint.
Second.
In discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Mr. Mayor? Go ahead.
At the last meeting, David made mention of an event that was taking place at the airport. That was last Saturday. I know if people that went, it was quite a turnout, parking all the way out to 41, practically up and down the side street out there. They had a exhibit with old cars and so forth, as well as a lot of old aircraft.
I actually had a P-51 flying around Calhoun
Yeah.
all day.
Couldn't afford to ride it.
I didn't ride in it either, but it sure looked good.
But they also had a biplane. I know you saw the yellow biplane. I was talking to my son about it, and he said that the fellow only bought that maybe a month ago and flew it back from California. I can't imagine flying that biplane open air from California, though.
Mr. Mayor, let me make a comment about this Airport Authority Board, Chip Sloan in particular. Chip serves as a chairman of this board, and this board is a very impressive group that is looking to grow this airport. And if you've never been to McCullough or Pete's DeKalb, then you don't know what I'm talking about when I say grow it, but there's a lot of industries that operate out of airports. It's not just pleasure flying. And I think Saturday's success it just surpassed everybody's expectations in every way. The leadership of that board is very professional. They do their research in advance, and they have good plans, and I believe we'll see another economic engine added to the city of Calhoun. So I can't do anything but say very positives about Chip's dedication.
Thank you very much, and it is good to reappoint him. Mr. Peters.
We have our cash reports for the general government and for the utilities. This is through May of 2017. As a comparison, went back and looked at through May of 2016. Under the general government day-to-day operating cash, we have $2.5 million. This time last year, we had $2.1 million. In reserves, we have $622,000. Last year, at this time, we had $3 million, but that $3 million is now held in investments. The one thing that stands out to me is the revolving loan, $859,000. It's really like $940,000, and DCA monitors that twice a year, and we're supposed to have 30%. We can't have any more than 30% of total assets in cash, and we have $940,000. So we have $190,000 too much, which we need to find someone to loan that to. Under the utilities cash report, this time last year we had $5.2 million in utility operating cash, and today we have $6.4 million. Also, last May in 2016, we had $4.5 million in savings and reserves, and today we have $5.4 million. So we were able to keep the lights on so far. That's all I've got.
If there are no questions concerning the cash report, do I have a motion?
Well, let me make another comment, if I could. We've gotten into some heavy litigation costs this year. We were sued because of a court case that was sued all across the nation, from San Francisco all the way to Georgia. Everybody does court dates the same way if you have a violation. And we felt like it was not opposite of what law was. We carried it to court, district court, right? And we lost in district court, but won in appeals. Now, why do you do that? Well, you can't enforce your laws if you don't have a court system. So you have to have uniformity and equity for all citizens of our community. That's going to cost $300,000 and some change this year. And we were just picked because somebody out of Harvard wanted to make a case study. Where this ends will impact law enforcement all over the state of Georgia and probably all over the nation. But that's going to be one of the biggest drains on cash in compared to other years. So just wanted the public to be aware of that, and any questions, then see Eddie or Paul one for specifics.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the cash report as
So moved.
presented?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? And in the absence of Mr. Davinian, there's no need for executive session, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
I'm always opposed.
Every time.